So this is the Access Quest tagging app, which allows you to import data from Access Quest in combination with the Access cart and import it into the Access Quest tagging to be categorized and analyzed. Our interface includes a data selector, which is where we can choose the data set that we want to work from. We can rename the data set. We can delete the data set. We can create a new data set. And we can export a data set. So to start a new workflow, you can choose your map source. At the moment in New Zealand, by default, it will go to the LINS maps, or you can choose Google Maps. You then start the workflow. Click Access Quest for data from Access Quest. You can click into different data sets to get more information and select that data set, or you can import GeoJSON data sets that have been previously exported. So I'm going to click this. This is the data set I am working on. I now have a data set open and I'll continue to work from where I finished off. I've already tagged a crossfall at 3.26 degrees, a gradient at 4.21 degrees, a minor surface problem which I can click on to see, which also includes a vertical height of 11 millimeters. So to add new data sets, I'll click ahead to where I finished off. You can see the time and date the data was collected. You can delete a data point and photo. This is especially useful for unwanted or private data, such as if someone accidentally takes it into their toilet or house and you don't want that data present on the data set, but you still want to use the rest of the data. As well, you can delete an entire data set from Access Quest. To delete just one photo or data point, you must do that from the tagging app. You can see the mean, crossfall and gradient. We also have a place to add a description if there's more context, such as if there's a temporary barrier or if there's something unusual that we want to capture. Potentially there is a common place for e-scooters to go, so in that case we might add a street furniture other, which is kind of a catch-all, and then add more description. Or if we click on crossfall, it will auto-populate the description field with the detected value as shown up here. We then have all of our different features that you can select. If you select on parking, there will be other options such as a side entry or rear entry park. If you click on bus stop, it will give you options for different type of shelter and so on. Here I'm going to do a sign. I can see a post there, so I'm going to click post. I'm going to drag this to where the post is, and then I'm going to move this to where I can see it on the satellite image. So I'm going to zoom in so it's kind of hard to see. I can see the shadow of the post there, so I'll put that there. So now I know I'm on the flat area next to a crossing. Even though this pin is in the middle of the road still, we can use the context from the photos and the context from the satellite to know that this cart is actually about here. There is inherent inaccuracies with a GPS system up to 5 meters off, so it is good to use the other environmental context and landmarks. We also have Google Street View in the bottom right window here, and you can zoom in or out for more context as well. So that's really useful when the photo or the satellite is not giving you enough information. And I can see that here the gradient is 5.65, but because we are on the area next to a crossing, we call that the flat area to cross. I'm going to add that there and that go to flat area to cross. And because that's in between 4 to 6 degrees, I'm going to click that. And I can drag another dot to show where it is in the other picture if I like. We're off again. I'm going to get a gradient here. That looks like a bit of an outlier with 7.37 degrees, so I'm going to go for a crossfall, which was in line with the other ones before and after. And now I'm going to keep going and see if the gradient's staying about the same, so it's not an outlier. So I'll now click gradient, so a little bit ahead of the previous one. And we'll do that. Also on the interface we have a little panel that makes it easy to navigate between photos and data points. Up here we can select left, right to go to the previous or next entry. We can also skip 5 at a time with the small arrows next to the bigger arrows, and the skip 20 entries button, or back 20 entries. You can also select the entry and drag down to find a different entry. You can also rotate images because sometimes the phone's orientation gets a bit confused and it will think that it's in a portrait mode when it's actually should be in a landscape mode. So now that we have completed a section of footpath or pedestrian network, we can now export the dataset and it will save it according to the name that you've given it in the interface. So you can also open this data straight from geojson.io, which is a free platform. So that's now saved that data up here. If I scroll down below the feature types, you can see this little feature which allows you to delete or change features that have already been selected. So if I drop that there, you can see this comes up. I can clear that geometry or mark that it's partially incomplete. I can do the same for the photo tab. And then once you've done 2, it automatically accepts both of those, but then if you want to edit them, you can just click on either of these 2 and then you can go back and delete them as well. You can also decide whether or not to auto advance to the next feature when both have been selected, and decide if you want to switch to polygon mode, which is most useful for training our machine learning algorithm. If you open the data in geojson.io, you can see what the data looks like in a GIS software such as geojson.io, but it will also look very similar in QGIS or ArcGIS. You can also see how the data is shown in the table and what data is exported. If you try to open the photo URL inside geojson.io, it will open it externally, but you can set up QGIS or ArcGIS to open the photo within the window. So as you can see, this is a really powerful feature, which makes it really easy to categorize and subsequently analyze your data for infrastructure priorities. Thank you for watching. I hope you have found this really interesting and will make use of this important tool.